Hello, I'm Gwen Griffin with Old World Foundation, and I'm here today with Old World Wisconsin Director Dan Freas. We're going to talk a little bit about the new Brewing Experience building and the Tavern at Old World Wisconsin. So Dan, welcome, and what can you tell us about this exciting program?
Thanks for having me, Gwen. Yes, very exciting after more than 50 years to finally be adding a brewing experience and a historic tavern to Old World, Wisconsin. The idea of adding a brewery and a tavern were actually part of the original master plan for Old World, Wisconsin that was created back in the mid 60s to late 60s during that period. And it's taken a while, but we finally fulfilled that part of the original plan. Although the location is different from what was originally imagined back in the 1960s, the assumption was that the tavern and the brewery or brew house would be located in our historic Crossroads Village and part of that living history experience. But as we've been thinking in more recent years about what the front entrance experience at Old World, Wisconsin could be like, we decided that we would move the brew house, the brewing experience, and the tavern up to the very front, so that not only can these buildings be used to tell the story of the importance of beer in the history and culture of Wisconsin and the ongoing tradition of brewing. That's very much a part of the state's history. But we can also then utilize these facilities as very unique venues for private events. So during the day, the brew house and the tavern will be part of the guest experience for folks that are coming to spend a day at Old World, Wisconsin. And then in the evening, they could be utilized for a family event, a wedding reception, a business function, a variety of other purposes. And then the revenue from those events will help support the ongoing operation of this new attraction.
That's great. That's really exciting to hear about a new, well, a historic building, but new to Old World coming. So that's great.
Yeah, one of the other changes that's occurred over the years is we originally started out thinking we would build a replica of a 19th century brewery. And where we've ended up, and it's seen behind me, is a building that actually reflects some of the architectural traditions that were used in brewery construction throughout Wisconsin. So, for example, the cupolas on the top for ventilation, the use of Cream City brick for the masonry work. So we tried to include elements of early brewery design, but the building is really meant to be a modern structure that houses a variety of programming that we are collectively referring to as the brewing experience. So some days it'll be a historic brewing demonstration where we'll have costume brewers that will be demonstrating 19th century brewing processes. Other times it could be a modern day craft brewer who is telling their story and talking about how they're continuing the brewing tradition that began 2 centuries ago with innovations and changes today. So we wanted a space that could be multi-purpose and be useful for both those historic programs as well as some of these other experiences that we plan to offer.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Is there anything else you can tell us about the tavern, how that'll be restored?
Yeah, so the tavern, again, as you can see behind me, is going to be located adjacent to the brew house. And really, the brew house, the tavern, a beer garden, which will be located behind the tavern and wrap around our existing barn, our housing barn that we have at Old World, Wisconsin. But then we're also going to have an agricultural exhibit right up front in front of the brew house. So chronologically, the guests will walk past the agricultural exhibit, which really roots brewing in agriculture. I mean, you have to grow the ingredients before you can brew the beer. So there'll be small plots of heirloom barley and hops, just to show the materials, the ingredients that were used as part of the brewing process. And then the guests will go into the brew house itself, exit out the other end and over to our 1930s tavern. Unlike the brew house, which, as I mentioned, is not meant to be a specific time period, the tavern is going to be a 1930s post-prohibition immersion experience. So we want everything about the Whit Naples Tavern when it's restored to reflect that 1930s period. And that begins outside. We're going to have a beer delivery truck, a 1920s or 30s beer delivery truck. They'll be parked out in front of the tavern, so it looks like a beer delivery is actually being made. And then when guests walk into the tavern itself, there'll be a radio playing behind the bar, maybe a 1930s baseball game or a news broadcast or just music from that period. There'll be a phone on the wall that will occasionally ring, and the bartender will ask a guest to answer the phone for him because he or she is busy. And there'll be someone talking on the other end of the phone call that may ask if the beer delivery has been made or ask about some local gossip. But again, just another way to kind of draw people into that 1930s environment. So there'll be a working tavern. Guests will be able to purchase a beverage at the bar and enjoy it in the tavern, although the space inside is going to be pretty limited. So, and one of the reasons for the beer garden and pavilion that we're going to be constructing as well is so that we have spaces for guests to be able to enjoy their beverage and some food products outside the tavern as well as inside. The brew house will be providing samples of the beer that's actually brewed as part of the demonstration. So we'll be able to provide guests 21 and older with a 3-ounce sample of the historic beer that's being reconstructed using historic methods. So that's something that we're really excited about, being able to give guests that want a sample of that historic beer, as well as the opportunity to purchase a beer in the tavern.
That sounds like so much fun to have a 1930s tavern. That's exciting. And that kind of brings us to our Sunset Soiree. So the chair of the Old World Foundation Board of Trustees has issued a challenge for us to raise $30,000 to purchase furnishings or fund other immediate needs for the brew house and or the tavern or a vintage truck or any of those things that will help ensure that the brew house can be open for programming in 2022. So we're excited about that. And anyone who donates $250 or more will be invited to an exclusive evening in the village at Old World on the evening of August 21st with entertainment and a gourmet picnic dinner. And it'll be just a nice way to thank those donors. And exciting news is that all donations up to $10,500 will be matched thanks to 2 of our generous trustees who have donated those funds. So people can visit oldworldfoundation.org for more details and how this project, this Sunset Soiree, and information on how you can make an immediate impact at Old World Wisconsin. So we're looking forward to that. But between now and August 21st, there's a lot going on at Old World. So what can you tell us about this season, Dan?
Yeah, well, first of all, we're excited that we're actually able to welcome guests back this season. Last year was a very difficult year for all of us, including Old World Wisconsin, and we had to severely limit access to the grounds during the peak of the pandemic. So as we, work our way out of the pandemic, we're able to open back up. We're still being very safe in our design of the guest experience so that we can emphasize social distancing, and masks are not required, but are certainly welcome. And we're trying to keep things as safe as possible through a more enhanced cleaning program than what we've been able to offer in the past. But we're going to provide really two ways to access Old World Wisconsin during the summer season. The first will be on Wednesdays beginning June 16th. We are going to offer 3 different thematic guided tours that will access different areas of the grounds and tell different stories. Because we know there are many guests that still would prefer not being part of a large group, but being part of a smaller group. So we're providing that type of experience on Wednesdays. And then Thursdays through Sundays, beginning on June 17th, will be open. The site will be fully open. The trams will be operating. Most of the buildings will be open and staffed with our costume experience facilitators. So it'll be very much like the experience that we've been able to offer in the past. So we're looking forward to being able to offer that type of experience for guests that are looking for that. We're able to bring back some of our special events. Unfortunately, things did not open up soon enough for us to be able to plan for our traditional Independence Day event. So we will be open to the public on July 4th, but we will not have some of the special festivities, for example, the brass band concerts and things of that nature, simply because by the time we knew that we could move forward, it was too late to book some of those outside performers. We'll be able to bring back our Halloween Legends and Lore event in October, and we're already working on a Home for the Holidays event in December, which will celebrate Christmas and other holiday traditions in Wisconsin in the past. So those 2 seasonal events will be able to return this year. And we're already looking forward to 2022 and beginning to plan programming around the opening of the brew house, which will open to the general public next spring.
Yeah. We've all been through a lot, so it's exciting this year. I think there'll be a lot of energy. People can't wait to get out and visit. I know we've had a lot of inquiries through the foundation wondering, when you're opening, and I direct them to the website for the most up-to-date information. So people can visit oldworldwisconsin.org for the latest and greatest information.
Yeah, the other thing they can do on the website for the first time beginning this year is they can purchase tickets in advance, so that if they want to avoid standing in line or just simply, avoid one additional point of contact, they can purchase their tickets online now and use those to access the grounds more quickly, and also without going in additional buildings and additional interactions with other people.
Yeah, that'll be really convenient. I think that's a lot of people will appreciate that for sure. Yeah. Great. Well, thank you for your time today, Dan. And just want to remind people to visit oldworldfoundation.org for information on Sunset Soiree. And we hope that we'll see everyone on August 21st at that event. And of course, much sooner than that at Old World, Wisconsin. So again, what date do you open officially, Dan?
So June 16th for our guided tours, and those have to be reserved in advance. I don't think I mentioned that earlier. But then our general site experience that doesn't require pre-reservation and is open self-guided touring begins on the 17th.
Wonderful. Well, it's coming right up. So, so wonderful. Well, thank you again. And until next time, we will say goodbye.